Emma.
Hello, how are you?
I am good.
Good. I'm excited for today's episode.
Two
So we're focusing on, are we
selfies.
saying that? Okay, I wasn't sure. I guess, yeah, we just posted on Instagram, so we're okay.
Yes.
Selfies.
And have you got all your materials set up?
Yes, our description, we said charcoal, pencil, and pastel.
Yes.
I have my pastels in front of me, but I'm not sure if I want to use them or not.
Yes. You're a
We'll see.
fly by the seat of your pants, gal. It's fine. That's just the way we roll.
So I'm just going to put those there for now. How about you?
If
You
you
got
feel so inclined, then you have them there. Then you can just grab them. Yes. I have got pencils. I have this crazy 8B pencil that I was thinking of using. It's like, do you see how thick that graphite is?
Yeah, that's crazy.
So I was thinking of using that just so that it's a bit darker and maybe it might show up on the video a little bit better.
Oh, for the camera, that's smart.
Yeah. Or maybe I might start with a lighter one so nobody can see what the heck I'm doing. So when I'm messing up, nobody knows.
That was my plan. Start with one that's nice and light, and then when I feel like I can commit to
Confident. Yeah. So then I have a 2B, and in the previous episode 7, I did a pencil sharpening demonstration. So, and then you were just sharpening your pencils.
It's so, well, because I looked in my pencil bin and they are so abused. And I figured since we hop on a couple of minutes early,
Abused or well
so
loved?
meditative. Sorry?
Abused or well loved?
Yes.
Yes, well loved.
All of the above. But yeah, it's very meditative. So I figured even if I'm not using all these pencils, while we're waiting for people to kind of trickle on, I'm just going to sharpen away.
Excellent. Well, should we get started? Are you ready?
I'm ready. Are you ready?
I'm ready. Hi, and welcome to the Emma and Daphne Show. I'm Daphne.
Yes. Welcome, and I am Emma Wales, artist and art educator.
And I'm a professional artist and art instructor as well.
Mm-hmm. So thank you for joining us. We were just talking before our little intro reel there about our focus this week on selfies.
Yes.
I guess we didn't really talk about this beforehand. Do we want to talk about what this as a theme? Kind of shed some light on our crazy antics?
Yeah, that would be cool. This whole month is drawn to artists because we picked it as a portrait month and then realized after we came up with the topics for every episode, like 5 episodes, because there's 5 this month, 5 Fridays this month, that we wanted to draw artists. Each episode was all about artists, including ourselves. And I do a lot of self-portraits, like crazy amounts. I don't know. Do you do a lot of self-portraits?
Usually when I do portraiture, it's with the kid classes, and usually it involves blind contour drawing.
Yes.
So the only time I really sit and draw, actually draw self-portraits, are anytime we're on a road trip or going camping. Usually Ryan's driving and I'm in the passenger seat, and I'll usually end up drawing a self-portrait in the car. So yeah, moving vehicle selfies is my specialty.
Moving vehicle selfies. Yeah, I do all different kinds, and the AGA, I think, has 3 of them in their art rentals and sales department right now. Yeah.
I didn't realize that. Cool.
And there's quite a few people who collect artist self-portraits, which is really interesting.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm a free model, right? So I'm always there. So if I'm trying to figure out some new materials, some new composition, trying to figure out how to convey a certain mood, I'm always available and right there. so it's easy to pick myself as a subject and a model. Though I tend not to sit for other people, like I don't
How
model
come?
for other people. I just always decided that I wanted to be on that side of the easel. So I took a lot of model sessions or figurative drawing classes,
Hmm.
and people would always ask me to model, and I didn't want to be known as the model. I wanted to be known as the
I will not be subject to your gaze.
artist.
I am Daphne, hear me roar.
Well, I don't want to just lay there. I want to draw. Damn it.
Yeah,
That's why I'm there.
that's good.
Yeah, so, yeah.
Yeah, I just think
And
it's, I love looking at artists' self-portraits, especially throughout
yes.
history, and it's cool to
Well,
see
they
how
can be
much
more
the reasons for
experimental.
doing them will change.
Yeah. They can be more experimental too, right? So there's a lot more freedom because you don't have to worry about, because I do a lot of commission work as well. You don't have to worry about what the the patron or the client or whoever's purchasing the work, what they think
Yeah,
or
or
how
about
it's going to make them feel.
anyone.
So you can push the boundaries a little bit more and test things out. So
Yeah.
that's what I like about it. If you want to check out um, our reference photos that we're using, because we're doing selfies, we're hoping you guys might do some selfies as well. Um, you can check out our Instagram pages. We posted them there.
So if you
Um,
don't follow Daphne, she is at Daphne Cote Artist. And I posted it. I just started an account for my own artwork, which I didn't have until recently, but I actually posted mine on my Art Ventures YEG account. So that's where you can find mine.
and both those links are down in the notes below. So if you want to quickly jump on those, you sure can. Um,
Mhm.
but yeah, so we'll get drawing.
Yeah, I just figured I'd start throwing down some early marks.
Yeah. Um,
I I
what's
feel like portraiture, our episode is always over before we get started, so
I know.
time seems to fly.
I know. Hey, I like it.
Yeah.
Um, a little too much. So, what
So
part do you like to start with the portrait?
uh shape, like the big outer shape of like,
The largest shapes?
yeah, exactly. And then I'll start to kind of proportionize from there. That was a Drag Race reference.
Of
I was about
course.
to say it, and then I realized you wouldn't catch it, and so then I had a little laugh to myself, and then said it anyways. So yeah, then I do the proportionizing.
The proportionizing? Excellent. I like that.
Yeah, you can thank who was it? Eureka, I think Cameron Michaels, and who else? I can't remember. Hmm. I'm letting myself down. Clearly, I need to go back and rewatch that season.
That's a prime excuse.
Exactly, that right there. I am, not that this is related to our show at all, but really curious to see like the drag race that's been pre-recorded for this season is over now. And so they're continuing on, but I think with live virtual shows, but like everybody from their respective homes.
Oh.
And I'm super curious to see like logistically how this is
Oh
going to go.
yeah. Well, did you see that art on Art Forum? They had they've been having a drag queen go around and interview artists in their studios.
No, you
Yes.
didn't share this with me?
I did share this with you. I swear I did. And you're like, I'll have to check it out later. Did you watch
Oh, that
it?
was the Miss Cracker. I
I
remember you
don't
sent me
know.
something with Miss Cracker, and I was like, why is Daphne sending me stuff?
I kind of like generalize things. So I'm like, oh, that's a dog.
Okay.
So that's a cat. That's a drag queen. I don't consider them in, like, I don't
Individual
put their,
people.
yeah, like, instead of it being a Shih Tzu, it's a dog. Or
So she just goes to studios and interviews people?
yeah, I think this is happening in New York.
That makes sense. That's
Yeah,
where crap from.
through Art Forum, through the Art Forum magazine, or I don't know
Sweet.
if it's still a magazine, but it's online.
Okay, I'm gonna have to actually go look at that. I meant to, but then I don't know, life happened and I got distracted.
Yeah. Okay. So that's like the other thing that we were going to talk about tonight is the whole like, what is your like daily routine?
I feel like you might be better starting this one because I know that with your life, you have way more structure. Like your snack and lunch and dinner time is much more regimented than here. And we can
Snappish
maybe
right now. That's all I am
compare
right now.
fast. Well, see, we have the opposite problem. Like yours are always hungry and ours never is. Like I have to pry him out of his room at 1:30 p.m. and be like, I need you to eat something.
Oh, yeah. I think it's just
So,
the age because I used to have that problem with because how old? 11?
nine.
9.
9.
Yeah. So like 9, 10, I had problems with my older two when they were 9 and 10. They're just like too into what they're doing that
Yeah,
they don't have time to eat. Life's too
exactly. Well,
exciting. There's too much going
oh,
on.
since kindergarten, he'd come home
Oh,
and like
really?
touched his lunch because like that's my recess time. I can't miss
Oh.
it. But now
Um,
there's no, yeah, so very different. But yes, tell me a little bit about your structure, and then I'll tell you a little bit about my lack thereof.
um, yeah, we don't have a heck of a lot of structure, like in comparison to like my mom's tight ship. Um, but I don't know. We have certain eating times now that we had to put into place where we didn't have before because we normally had like school and then after school snack, but there was like quite a bit of leeway with that. Um, and the kids weren't home all the time; they were at school, so I would let them eat when they were hungry. But
Yeah,
now they're just hungry because they're bored, so that's a bit
that's
of
like
a
my
problem.
dogs.
Yeah, they're just bored.
They used to ask for food at 8:30 a.m. and at 6:30 p.m. And now they ask to be fed like consistently throughout the day. They'll trick like if I feed them dinner at 6:30, Ryan will come up to me at 8:30 and be like, "Are you sure you fed them? They're asking to eat again." Like they have been lying to us,
Your dogs are lying.
trying to trick extra meals out of us.
Um, yeah, it's oh, what was I gonna say about that? Oh, I forget.
They're eating because they're bored.
Yeah, eating
So
because
you
they're
have to
bored.
put snack mealtime in place.
Yeah, so we did have to put time. So I don't know. Everybody's got their own. My older two are developing weird night owl schedules, but yeah, I wake up first, and usually, sometimes my youngest is up around 7. And then I was trying to, like, before all this, I was waking up at 6 and getting stuff done before I had to get the kids ready for school. Um, but now things are a little bit more relaxed, and because nobody has to get dressed. Showers are becoming maybe an issue for the younger ones. They're not showering as much as they probably should.
Why? No, I'm not going anywhere. No one's gonna see me. That's what we keep
No.
getting.
Um, yeah, I don't know. Food is breakfast in the morning and then snacks at 10. Lunch is sometime between noon and 1. And um, afternoon snack is at 3. You know what? Our meal times kind of vary, but those snack times are core times. Like those kids do not miss 10 o'clock or 3 o'clock. It's cookie and fruit time,
Oh yeah.
and they thrive on that. So um, we like to
Oh,
go for walks in the afternoons, like before supper, and I try to do yoga and go for a walk. And if I try to do both every day, and if I can't do yoga, then I go for 2 walks.
You're making me feel so lazy.
No, it's more so for my sanity than for, like, it does make my body feel good, but it's more for my sanity. So if I take the kids out, I still need like something to do by myself.
Yeah, I can see that.
I'd go nuts. And I'm quite an introvert. Like, I'm kind of trained to be an extrovert. I can be really social, but where I get my energy from is being by myself. So I enjoy it. I need that time. So that's what I do. And as for work, I try to get the like heaviest stuff done in the morning when I have the most energy.
What do you mean heaviest? Like biggest job or the stuff you dread the most?
The things that I need to be the most on for. Like my brain needs to be on. I need to be my most creative. Like if I need to write something that's really important, or I need to paint something that's really important, or I need to research something that demands a lot of attention.
Yeah.
Then I'll do it then, because I find it easier to ignore all the craziness that's going on around me. Like I'm a little bit more disciplined, self-disciplined in the morning than I am in the afternoon. So if I plan things like laundry and cleaning the house and doing kids stuff in the afternoon. So I get the kids set up for schooling in the morning, and then we all work. And we do it quite independently, which drives my youngest a little bit nuts because he's so social. He has a hard time with it. But we can't, I need everybody to get their work done, and I need to get work done, so it's just something that has to happen. Yeah. And then once a week I have my parents' foster kids over, and I do some respite for them. And it's really
kind of like quarantined with each other, right?
Yeah. So they're like the COVID buddy family or whatever. Like there's so many different terms for it, but like the one family that we're staying in contact with. So that we don't go insane. And also my parents, so I live in town, and my parents have an acreage, and they've set up a ninja course in their yard. So then my kids can go and have like recess. So sometimes we go over there. I'll just call my mom up and say, hey, can I come over this afternoon? My kids need a recess. So then it's like 3.5 acres that they can just go and run, and
that's
not have
amazing.
to worry about anything. Yeah. So they have fun with that. And then also they have like a set of kids that they can play with. So I'm glad that I don't have. I've always said that it's a little bit hard having being a single mom of 4 children. That's a little bit difficult, and that 4 is one too many. But now, in this type of situation, 4 is perfect. There's always somebody to get along with, and they're just like they help each other, they play with each other, it's like a perfect situation for this, and I'd be really hard done by if I only had 2, I think.
Yeah, well, because then that way, even if one needs some alone time, there's still enough that they can still play together and be together and do group stuff.
And I grew up with 3 younger sisters, so I kind of know what the dynamics of having 4 is all about. And I enjoy it.
Not me, man. Single child over here. Or only child? Is it only child or single child?
Only child?
Only child. Those are the worst.
Sketchiest types.
Yeah. I still remember, like, one of the biggest compliments that was ever paid to me was, I was talking to a friend of mine, this is quite a while ago now, and he was having a really hard time with his partner, and I asked just because some of the act like, the behavior and stuff that he was describing, he was like, "Is she an only child by chance?" And he was like, "Yes." And I was like, "That's why." And everybody was like, "Yeah, but that's such a shady thing to say." I was like, "I'm an only child. Like, I can say this because I get it. Like, this is, I'm
Yes.
telling you, this is why." And all of them were like, "You're an only child? You're so well adjusted." I was like, "Yes, thank you."
Yeah, they're kind of the scary ones that are like raised on communes or something that you're just not quite sure about, like in some weird cult of single
Well,
children.
I stopped being an only child. Like both of my parents found new relationships. So I have a sister and brother from my dad's remarriage.
Oh, okay.
I'm not like a permanent only child, but like the fundamental years of my life, I
You learn
certainly
how to
was.
share eventually.
Exactly. And you have like the cousins and stuff that are like siblings growing up. And
Oh, okay, yeah.
yeah, our structure or our days are not nearly as structured. So I used to joke when this pandemic became a thing that my partner's in heaven because like his day-to-day routine hasn't changed at all.
Yeah.
Because we both work from home, and obviously for me, like I go out to run my workshops and everything. So aside from my workshops being canceled, like our day-to-day working stuff was very similar. Like he's in his office, I have my space, and um yeah, he's like, I used to joke that, yeah, he's just happy because now he doesn't have to, share the grocery store with as many people at a time.
Yeah.
But it's starting to drive me crazy because for me, my structure was never like every day, this happens, then this happens, then this happens. It was a weekly structure. Like I knew every Tuesday I taught this class, every Thursday I taught this class, every Friday I had this, every Saturday I did these two things, every
And
Sunday
it
I,
would change, right? Like every
yes,
month it would change. Whereas now it's like it's getting repetitive
yes,
because it's the same damn thing. Like I'm
yeah.
washing the same clothes because I'm not going to art openings. I want to wear something nice. And oh, did you see that the Art Gallery of Alberta is opening up on June?
Yeah.
Is it 4th?
I got the email today. There's an
Me too.
opening date for members, and then there's an opening date for the public.
It's different
If you wanted to
times.
see the Rembrandt show, you haven't
I
seen it yet.
do. I want to see it. And they put a virtual tour up there. So
Yeah.
if you go to www.youraga,
.ca.
Ouraga.ca, then you can take a virtual tour of the Rembrandt show. So I was doing that before the show.
They haven't included everything in the virtual tour, though.
No, but you get a taste of it and it makes
Yeah.
me want to go so bad. So I
Yes.
wonder what it's going to be like because I don't want to go if there's lots of people, but I really want to see the stuff. And
Well,
that's
I
like paintings, you have to see them in person.
yeah. Oh, yeah. It's totally. Whenever I'm talking about art with someone, like I always have to say if I have or haven't seen it in person and know if they have or haven't, because what you see in print or
Yes.
on a computer screen or on a poster is
Exactly. I
it's
asked the
such an
same
experience.
question. Yeah, it's just it doesn't compare and like you don't really know until you know. You got to like go and see it.
Yeah.
Yeah, like that stuff can make you cry because it's so
Yeah.
like moving and amazing that people can accomplish something these strange creative things with our own two hands. Oh, anyways, that's getting me real riled up.
I was able to drag He Who Shall Not Be Named. I can't remember if we went on the opening or shortly thereafter, but we did. It was probably the opening.
The Rembrandt show.
Yeah.
Jeez.
Yeah, it was
The
nice. I always
guy or
love
the little guy?
the big one. The
Oh,
little one used to be really interested. I used to be able to
you've
take him.
already named him twice in this episode.
Yeah, I know. But they're the boys. The girls are the girls, and then the boys are the boys.
That's funny.
Yeah, but yeah, they. I feel like we used to go to stuff at the gallery a lot more often than we do now.
Yeah, no, they haven't like shown me anything lately that I really wanted to see. Like the Karsh show, the Josef Karsh photographer, that was a
Mhm.
great show.
How long ago was that? I don't know if I remember
Oh,
that one.
like I think it was one of the first shows they had there, one of the
Oh,
first or second shows. Then the Renaissance show with like Titian.
that one was beautiful.
Such a good show. Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. And then didn't Jill Stanton have a show where she painted the actual wall, the whole big wall? No. Was that
I'm
maybe in
trying to
60s?
remember. That name sounds super familiar. I don't.
Muralist. She's yeah.
I can't remember.
That was a good one.
Oh,
It was
that
huge.
one I think was in Manning Hall.
Was it?
I think so. Like right when you come in.
And then
I think if it's what I'm thinking of, I could be wrong
yeah.
though.
There was it Dutch drawings?
Yeah, Dutch and Flemish.
Yes.
Yeah,
That was okay. It wasn't great. But I remember they brought out
I
when
loved.
they
Sorry,
had
you.
the old AGA, like before
The Edmonton Art Gallery.
Minton Art Gallery. They had a group of 7 show that was fantastic, and most of it was from their collection, I think.
See, and I was just gonna say if I had to say my favorite one is when they had a group of 7 show in, I can't remember the gallery name, the one on the main floor. But then upstairs they had 7 by PNAI I don't know if that's the right way to pronounce the acronym, but that's the group with like Norval Moriso and Alex Janvier and Daphne Ojeg, and it was all Indigenous art, like the group of 7 Indigenous artists above the lake.
Yes, I think
That
maybe
was my
that
favorite
it was
one.
probably at the same time.
Yes, they were, and
Yes.
I loved that the Indigenous artists were above, like physically. I
Yes.
just thought that was so powerful. I remember that blew my mind. But the show was, I think that's my favorite one the AGA has ever had.
Yeah, it made me just want to paint and paint and paint and paint.
Mm-hmm. And actually, Lexon and I used to go to that one all the time and play all sorts of like looking games and finding games. And that was,
yeah,
I loved
good
that
one.
one.
Yeah, so, and I love the Andy Warhol show that they have there. That was a good one.
Which one? Was that the Gretzky one, or was there one that was
the Andy
Pop?
Warhol show? With
I don't know if it was just Andy Warhol, did they?
Yeah,
they had one
the whole top
Pop
floor. It was the top floor. Yes, and all of his wigs.
3rd floor?
Yeah. And all of his wigs and Marilyn's and videos and yeah.
I wasn't there for that. I missed that.
With all the wigs? I thought we had this conversation.
No. I thought that you saw that when you were in New York.
Campbell's. No, here.
That was here?
Yeah, with the Campbells, and that's why he did these, like, his early work of these stylized shoes, illustrated shoes that were just fantastic.
Yeah, I remember you showed me your book.
But
I didn't realize that
better.
was
like our books don't have the shoes in them. Like, don't have the same shoe thing. And then they had to talk about it. And then they
for that.
I don't know, like a few months later they had like the Basquiat movie that was good.
The Clock? No. Who did The Clock? That's not Basquiat.
No. Because they were friends. So anyways, they did like, because they sometimes have like art movies in the theater.
Well, yeah. I can't believe I missed that.
And weren't they like, were they free or something? Or like it costs
I
very
think they're
little or
usually
something.
free for members, or you can buy a ticket if you're not a member, I think. Something to that effect.
I went to a few different movies, art movies.
I wonder if you've accidentally met a long time ago at a gallery event and didn't know.
We just weren't ready for each other.
Exactly.
Oh.
Yeah, so back to back to previous topic. Structure. I never really had a daily structure because all of the gigs I got were so different. So my structure was definitely in the weekly. And so that is what I'm hungry for. And that is what I'm missing right now. So in terms of my day to day, I honestly don't think I would survive this pandemic if it weren't for plants. Like they get me up. Well, the dogs physically get me up out of bed because they let me know that they want to go outside. And then, so I get up for the girls, but I stay up for the plants. And then I kind of tinker around the house with them for a little bit. And then once I
You've been doing
feel,
lots of stuff outside too with your plants,
yes,
right?
oh, definitely. Did I tell you about my rescue garden?
A little bit, but tell me more.
So I was at one of my wonderful friends' houses. Well, another friend had asked if anybody wanted to trade perennials, and I knew she was looking for peonies. And another friend of mine had some peonies that he said he wanted to split and dug up last year.
Yeah.
So I reached out to him, and while I was there getting some peonies from him, told him about how I had a couple perennials in my garden that I had rescued from a house that was about to be demolished last year.
Yeah.
And he goes, oh, well, there's one of those like 5 houses down from me. I was like, what? He's like, yeah, they've got tons of flowers. So after I left, I like found the sign, called the developer, asked if I could dig up some perennials. And Ryan and I spent probably 3 days digging up all of these rocks around a tree stump that we have that were completely overgrown with like quack grass and weeds. And so now I have a whole new bed full of rescued perennials, and I can't wait
My
to see
goodness.
that. Like a whole new bed, Daphne.
I'm proud of you for phoning and asking. That's very like you're very community oriented, and I like that because a lot of people will just steal them. They
Well,
won't go through that trouble.
and I ended up befriending both neighbors on either side, and because I went back 2 separate days. So the first day I met the neighbor on the one side, and she's like, "Oh, make sure you get some of that and some of that, and like this is what this is."
Oh,
And the
that's
next
so
day I went
cool.
back again, and the neighbor on the other side just pops her head over the fence, and she's like, "Let me know if you need help identifying anything." And
Aw.
um, yeah, so they were lovely, and they both had some flowers of the previous owners as well.
Yeah. Oh, nice.
Yeah, so I'm really happy that they all got saved, and uh, that they're not just going to get plowed over when the house gets demolished.
Yeah. That wouldn't be happy.
No, ma'am.
Um, do you think that you are more of an introvert or extrovert type of person?
uh, I always thought that I was an extrovert. But I love my alone time. Like I love my alone time. I love doing things by myself. Every time I've traveled, it's been by myself for the most part.
Yeah,
Um,
me too. I like to travel by myself too.
and I remember talking with one of my girlfriends and saying, I don't know, like I always thought I was an extrovert, but maybe that's just because I'm always in situations like when I used to serve or when I was at the gallery or when I'm teaching, like I need to be on.
Yeah.
And I said, maybe I'm actually an introvert though. And she literally laughed in my face.
Um,
So I think I think I am an extrovert that loves alone time.
yeah, I think so.
But yeah, that was like an actual guffaw directly in my face. No attempt. It was Leslie.
Oh, okay, yeah.
No attempt to conceal it.
Uh,
She's like, you're definitely an extrovert, Emma.
yeah.
How about you? I guess you already said you feel like you're an introvert, a well
Yeah.
trained, an introvert trained to be an extrovert.
Um, yeah, I think so. I don't know. Maybe like I also need to find the right people, but I do like, so I figure it's whatever you get your energy from. So if you go out and you get energy from being with other people, then I would consider you to be an extrovert. Like when you have a great meeting with somebody, or you have like this really great class that's gone super duper well, then how do you feel afterwards? Are you like energized, or are you drained, even though it was good?
Well, see, I feel like that's a really tough way for me to gauge because I
Because now
like
you're alone.
no,
You
no,
can't
no.
test that out.
Well, always, perpetually. Like for example, every single Friday, even if I'm having a rough day, I always feel better and recharged after we talk and we do this and we connect with whoever's watching or just each other.
But do
I
you
always
feel
feel recharged.
tired afterwards, or do you feel energized?
I feel energized, and then I get to go watch RuPaul's Drag Race. Like,
Yeah.
obviously, I'm not about to be tired.
Oh,
So
well,
no, but that recharges me. But at the same time, like if I've had to run a summer camp and I'm with like a million screaming children for 8 hours,
oh yeah,
I'm gonna go
no.
home and I'm not gonna move a muscle. But I think that's more about like physical energy rather
Yeah.
than
Yeah, see, I have a really great time on our show. I really love it, but afterwards I'll often feel like tired.
oh, see afterwards I'm like, I can't wait to call Carolyn so I can watch Drag Race.
Yeah, like I can't wait to get into my jammies, and
Oh
like
yeah.
I've had like a really great time. It's like doing something that's been really great, but and you really productive. You're super happy about it, but you're tired afterwards. So that's the way that I
I
feel.
would never think introvert when I think of you, Emma, but maybe an introverted extrovert.
See,
Hi,
maybe you're
Carolyn.
on my side. Maybe
Yeah.
we're more alike. Yeah, because like I do get a little bit jived with if I have a really awesome painting class,
Yeah.
then I want to come home and I want to try something. But that alone time, I think, of me painting by myself energizes me, and then I end up staying up too late.
See, and that's, I don't know, I really like, I do get energy from both. Like, I often get energy from being with people, but I
You're
often,
walking on the fence like a tightrope
yeah,
artist. Yeah, that's
yeah, like,
cool.
I
That's
could
great.
never, like, all of the, like, the first time I ever traveled or that ever left the country by myself, I backpacked around Europe for 3 months on my own.
Yeah.
And then every time since, and like I couldn't imagine being with somebody that whole time. And like you meet people along the way, but it's not the same. Like I had so much alone time, and I need alone time.
Yeah. Then maybe you waffle on the edge there.
That, that's why I was starting to think maybe I am
I think so.
introverted. I don't know. I don't need to fit in a box.
No, you do not. And you don't.
I think that's a compliment.
No, it totally
I'm
is.
kidding. I'm kidding.
Totally.
So you asked me where I like to start when I'm drawing portraits. Where do you like to start?
Um, I use the hair to create composition. Then I look at angles and then develop the biggest shapes based off of those angles. And then I curve things later on so that
Mhm.
things are a little bit more accurate. Because it's harder to make a perfect curve than it is to get the perfect angle from the start to make the perfect curve. Does that make sense?
Yeah, that makes sense.
Okay. Sometimes I'm just talking.
Yeah, I feel like that was phrased much more clearly than I like to find the big blobs because yeah, like I'll mark out like where the big shapes are, but then yeah, you do need to frame it in with the hair and you start to like the angles show me where I want to put those shapes.
Yeah.
I don't know. I guess I've never really put that into words, but yeah, I need to like I like to have a loose idea of where my head is before I put my frame of my hair.
What is happening with my eyeballs? Sorry, this is.
No, not at all. But yeah, so my rescue garden is in the ground. I'm lately on a mission. I was having a conversation with one of my cousins lately because I just got my orchid plant to bloom again after 2 years of like no flowers and it being completely dormant.
Yes.
And she had mentioned, like, oh, so many people throw those out because once they lose their blooms, they just don't know what to do with them. And I realized I can just put a call out for everybody about to throw out their orchids and I can try to revive them, because it was so satisfying when it started to grow new shoots. And then, like, now that it's blooming after 2 years, like, I feel so accomplished. I'm like, I need this feeling more. I want everybody's dead orchids. And I have one now that I met up with somebody earlier this week. And then I have another friend that's going to give me one of their dying orchids, and I'm so excited.
Give your dead crap to Emma. She will revive it.
Yeah. Well, and I think that's really been helping me through the pandemic, is having something to care for that's not myself.
Oh yeah. I have a lot of things to care for that are not myself, so. And then my
Yeah,
kids are
but
like, "Can't we get a puppy?" And I'm like, "No, no way!" And like every second house in this neighborhood has gotten a new puppy. I don't know how they made them like breed that rapidly for everybody, but
hopefully it will rescues,
yeah, I don't
and
know.
hopefully they like continue to have good homes after the pandemic.
Yeah, me too, because I don't want them like running around my yard. That's for sure. Um, yeah, and I don't know, like if people are gonna go back to work in the same manner, or like what's gonna happen with everything. But
Yeah, I don't know, man.
I don't really want it to. In some ways, I don't want it to. In other ways, I like really miss it. Um, but I was watching this woman on Instagram today, and she was an extrovert, and she was just like kind of losing it, and she's like, I will do anything. I just want to have a meeting with my accountant for like 3 hours. I would just want to see his face. I don't want to Zoom anymore. And then she's like, I will go to a lady doctor. And I will have that done. If I could just get a cup of coffee and go sit in a waiting room and read old people magazines, I will do it just to get out of here. I thought that was so funny.
Yeah.
And I can't even imagine what the extroverts are how they're handling this kind of stuff. And like, I know for me, it's made me like pay a little bit more attention to my kids and hug them a lot more than I probably did before, which I think I'm pretty grateful for. That I don't. I'll remember that. Like,
Yeah.
that's something that I was taking for granted, where I'm like, no, get out of my space bubble because I'm an introvert and I need space. But now there's nobody else bothering me, so.
Yeah, you have more energy for what matters.
Yes, but at the same time, I'm tired. Like,
Yeah.
I don't know how I am sleeping more, and I'm not sure why. Though I do feel better and I am taking better care of myself, so maybe I was more running on stressful situations. I don't know.
Yeah.
Like, when you have to be somewhere all the time and there's so much driving and logistics to things and remembering this or that to whatever class. And but I do have classes booked for the fall, so we'll see how that
Yeah.
goes.
I'm still trying to figure out what I'm going to do about my summer camps.
Yeah, I have some. I've canceled mine, and then I have, just because like logistically for the age range and what I was doing is I couldn't handle it mentally. Um, but I am doing a graffiti project here in Stony Plain,
Yeah, that'll be really cool. A
And
skate park, right?
yeah, so Thursday nights in June. As far as I know, it's still a go. They've opened up the skate park this week.
Oh, cool.
They've opened up the playgrounds here, but
Oh,
not in Spruce Grove. Let's see.
Carolyn is asking if she can see our work so far. I forgot about showing it.
I don't know. I
I
need to
love
change
that.
to that dark. I need to start using that dark pencil.
I was going to start with light, and then I just picked this one up and went with it.
I'm going to bring in some dark, and we'll see here what happens.
See what happens. Does anybody have any questions that's watching for either Daphne or myself, either about routine or what we're working on, how we're going about it, the stuff that we're using? Don't be shy.
Do you feel like your friends have changed?
Me?
Yeah.
No, but I was always very picky about my friends before the pandemic.
Yeah.
No, I feel like my friends are still my friends.
Nailed down, Pat.
Yeah. Well, years and years and years ago, stuff happened that made me want to be more selective with who I chose to invest my time and energy in.
Cool.
But now I absolutely love my friends, and I don't know if I can say friend group. Like, lots of them are starting to know each other, but I think lots of them are still like, there's this one friend here and this one friend here. Oh, hi, Sophie. Speaking of my wonderful friends, but no, I don't feel like any of them. Well, I'm sure they have changed themselves, like as humans, through the course of the pandemic. But whether or not they're my friends has not changed. How about you?
I don't know. I think I've like reevaluated some relationships and friendships and things like that. But I think maybe it just shone a better light on it because I'm not so busy. Like, I'm not running around all the time, where I think I had so many distractions that I didn't have to think about friendships or anything. Like, if I asked to go somewhere, I'd just go, and whatever. Like, if it sounded fun, I'd do it, and if it didn't, I'd still probably do it because I'm crazy like that.
We do have a question. What is your art making routine?
Making routine.
Maybe can you clarify a little more what you mean? I can tell you about our routine for this art making. For the Emma Daphne Show, Daphne and I will have a meeting and plot out the month ahead and what our themes are going to be. We try to give an idea of what materials we're going to use for our Patreon subscribers, but we both tend to like to fly by the seat of our pants, so often those change. So just kind of clearing an area and gathering, in this case, whatever materials we've committed to, and kind of setting to exploring our theme.
Yeah.
Do you have a routine, Daphne, for your work outside of?
Tidying up usually helps. So I like to piddle fart around. I heard that from other artists that the way that they get in the mood to create in their studio is to sweep the floor. So I've got a red carpet, and I don't know. I also do yoga. If I'm going to do some long sessions of painting or drawing, I'll do yoga in my studio, and that gets me warmed up because I need to feel good in the space. I also put on like music that inspires me, or just like it parallels the mood that I want to create in the artwork.
Yeah.
So I do that. I think that's pretty much how I get stuff
Music
done.
is a huge, whenever I'm working, that's actually the most challenging part of this show for me. is that I can't be listening to music while I'm creating.
Yeah,
And I
that's
find often that will influence what I'm doing or where I'm going with something.
yeah.
Yeah, I don't ever do yoga down here. That would be usually if I'm going to do yoga, that'll be upstairs. Although I guess once I finally clean all my crap up, I've been working on organizing this space because it's just kind of been a dumping ground of art supplies lately. And it's been like the most daunting task in the world because I have no idea what I'm doing with so much of it. And there's tons of papers. So actually one thing that I've been doing to help kind of clean this space out is I've been starting a time lapse. And the first time lapse I did of me cleaning, I wasn't planning on sharing to any kind of social media, but I ended up doing it after anyways, because it was really satisfying to watch. But my reasoning for the time lapse was because it made me stay on task and it made me want to finish it in the one go, even though it was a job that normally I would probably come back to 2 or 3 times.
Yeah. Brain games. It's all about brain
Yeah.
games.
And it worked like
Wow.
really, really well. Like really, really well. And it lit a fire under me to keep doing that. But no, I think having a clean, inviting space, that's the biggest part for me.
Clean, inviting space.
Yeah.
Yeah, I can't have things too clean. Like I have to have a little bit of clutter or else I don't feel comfortable.
I say clean and inviting, but if you saw my space, like I have this much room, Daphne, in front of me is clean. And then just out of reach, like I'm actually going to take a picture right now.
Yeah.
Of what a clean, inviting space for Emma looks like. Here, I don't know if you'll be able to see on my phone. Let's try.
Oh, yes. That's a whole whack load of crap that you're probably not all going to use this evening.
No, I'm not. But the space in front of me is clean and inviting. Plants and music.
Yeah.
Those are the other secret ingredients.
That's all you need.
Yeah. Well, Miss Daphne, it's 8:51, so I'm thinking we just have a couple more minutes. I know. A couple more minutes. What about a routine for art nights? We're about to recreate one of our art night videos. But that one, we like to, if we're going to be team teaching the same thing, we'll talk a little bit, like Daphne will share how she would tackle it. I'll share how I will tackle it. And then we kind of just find a starting point and go from there. So lots of it is kind of determined as we go.
But we have
With a
things
very,
like
very
planned.
loose roadmap. Yeah, like we'll have the big stuff kind of plotted out and we'll make sure we touch on X, Y, and Z. Yeah. Does anybody else have any questions? That was a lovely question, by the way, Sophie. Thank you.
Yeah, we have everything planned for our art nights, and then we always leave. I think we do that just in our teaching style as well. Is that we like leave a little bit of room for some improv, right?
Oh, always.
Yeah, because you never know. Like you might want to change something, or something might occur, and you'll be like, "Oh yeah," but
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, I feel like I always, especially with my art planning, over prepare rather than under prepare. But when I say that, I mean I will have like backup plans or like a choose your own adventure roadmap where there are multiple adventures to choose from.
Yeah.
And then you kind of just see which way things go. I find it more enjoyable that way rather than having an idea that you feel you have to stick to at all costs.
That's
I
when
think
things don't go right, when you're a little too rigid.
Yeah, especially with art making.
Yeah.
There needs to be room for saying yes.
Yeah, yes.
I'm feeling done playing with mine. It's a little I don't know. I feel like when I look at it in person versus look at it on the screen, like this looks really outliney to me in a way that it doesn't
Um,
um, in real life. Like there are still some stronger contours, but not quite to the extent that they're being picked up on the camera. But I feel
yeah.
like I'm done playing with it. I'm going to go back to my meditative pencil sharpening to close the show.
And I can like draw self-portraits for bloody ever. So
That looks awesome.
that's mine. But like seriously, I could put in another hour into that, no problem, and enjoy myself while doing it. I just love like figuring out the like curves and how things go and how the light hits it, and I'm such a nerd. I just
That
like
makes me think of last week when you were like, look at this stripe, this one stripe.
I know.
I love this stripe.
Yes, like when something just happens and it just is right and it's
Yeah.
working, or and like what other type of thing could you do in our culture where you could stare at something like a nostril intensely for hours on end and people not think that you're crazy? So I was staring at somebody just this morning actually because I was like, wow, those are like such interesting eyelashes and they come out at this angle and then the light hit them just so, and so I'm like drawing it in my mind and they're like, why do you keep staring at me? You're making me feel
Oh,
uncomfortable.
I assumed this was an image. This is a person?
The person, like a person sitting in front of me, and I'm like drawing in my head, and there's like lull in the conversation, and so I just end up looking like a crazy person. But really, I was like working. There was like gears going, and
that says like, I'm an artist. I'm allowed to stare.
yeah. Just hold on. I'll show you. I've got this like cool mug. Well, it was a mug, and then the handle broke off of it. But
yeah, I was actually thinking of this mug of yours today.
can you actually? I don't think you can see it. It's going to be backwards.
Yeah, read it to us.
Okay, so it says, "I might look like I'm listening to you, but in my head I'm painting." Because that's totally right, and they didn't mean it as like a joke. They were like, I'm telling you, you keep doing this to us, and it's not making us feel comfortable. So I don't think it was given to me like all with warm fuzzies. It was like, this is a problem.
Someone really understands you.
I know. So they're no longer my friend.
Selective process. They didn't make the cut.
They didn't make the cut. But I am grateful for the mug. And when I broke the handle off, they did fix it for me. So that was quite nice.
Well, I need to figure out how to do that because I have a mug I've turned into a little plant pot upstairs. It was one of my favorites, but the handle dusted off. But it doesn't look nearly as polished.
No, this, like, if you're with a super handy person that's a perfectionist, you get some really interesting stuff done.
Yeah.
So yeah, I don't know. It's almost like a tape type of thing. I don't know, maybe it was painted over top of glue or something.
Mine has like jagged half handles poking out. Like it's very apparent. And I don't want to smash them off because I don't want to wreck it more. But anyways, our show is coming to an end here. For our goals, thank you guys so much for joining us. We are trying to reach 100 subscribers on YouTube so we can change our URL.
So that people can find us a little bit easier. That would be so much better.
Yeah, so if you haven't already, please subscribe and / or share with someone you think may want to subscribe.
Yes. And we also want you to check out our Patreon page. The information is down below in the description. And we've got 3 different tiers there if you would like to support us. We would like to get better mics so that when we turn to do our drawing and stuff like that, and to get more cameras so that we can get more angles. So that would really help us out. Also, if you want to participate in our art night, which is we put one on at the end of each month. This month we're doing Madonna, portraits of
Warhol
Madonna.
inspired.
Yeah, Andy Warhol inspired. And so that is going to be out at the end of this month. So yeah, hop onto our Patreon page and check out all that info. Follow us on social media. All of that stuff is below. You'll also find the reference photos that we used in this show down there. And we had a blast. I always
As
have
always.
fun.
Yeah, thank you so much. It's not the same without you. Whether you are watching live with us or you tune in later, I know we have lots of wonderful people that tune in after the fact. So whenever you make time to squeeze us into your day, we super appreciate it. Thank you
We're
for showing
grateful. Thank you. And share it. Thank you very much.
Have a great night, everyone.
Good night.